three. Ball deep right center. Let's go. A line drive to right field. It's going to drop in front of Hayward. They're going to Sakawa. Here's a throw to the plate. Not in time. Immediately throughout this series about how well Aubrey Humphrey on. Popped up. Castillo. Drop the ball.
Howard sends one to right. On the run is Gonzalez, and he cannot get there. Then in front of him, the throw to the plate, he scores, and the Phillies to left field and deep.
And a fly ball to right center field deep. Way back goes Kapler to the warning track by the bullpen, and it's gone. Into the bullpen. Here's Albert Bell. Ball deep right center. 7-0. He's done it again. There's a ball off the glove. Up it. Desmond, 2 runs are going to score. The Cardinals are tying up. Descalso.
Send the ball into the opposite field. That's a fair ball. Panic scores. And with Posey, the throw to the plate is in time.
High fly ball into right field. She is done.
Peralta jumps on this pitch. Deep left field. Gone! It's gone! Down to their final strike. Martinez hits one to deep right center field.
Little roller up along behind the net.
A.B. Lopes game on the line. Ground ball on Smith. To Boa. A throw. Yes! No! Not in time! Let's go.
Monroe with a deep fly ball to left field. Going back, Cabrera looking up. See ya! A 3-run home run. Drive to right field. Way back. Princess tied it up. Goodbye.
To Nunez. Base hit. Right field. Arcia.
All right, let's see. Caleb, I can see your face, but give me thumbs up if you can hear me. Good deal. All right, well, thanks for everybody for joining us. I love YouTube, especially when you plug in highlights from the MLB. That one was just a clutch hit performance. The Royals were on there a couple times just recently in 2015, if you guys remember. Alex Gordon's big home run, and then obviously the mad dash from Hosmer running home from third with the ground ball to first. Lucas did us a favor and overthrew it and made Hosmer look like a genius there. So then obviously Salvi's big hit down the line in 2014, the wild card game. Those are some ones that come to mind. And then just recently this past year, Kyle Jones, big hit for us up the middle, game-winning hit, game-winning RBI in the state championship game. So, hitting's a big deal. And we've been fortunate to have some good hitters. We've been fortunate to put up some big numbers over my 3 full seasons of actually playing baseball at Blue Valley West. And, I'm not going to take any of that credit. Coach Lahaski's done a fantastic job coaching our hitters. It starts with his philosophy. It starts with him getting our hitters to buy in. As you parents and you players know, a lot of you have had several different coaches over your time playing baseball. And one thing we pride ourselves on is not changing what our hitters do when they get into our program. You know, we want to take what they've learned. We want to take their strengths and use those so that we can find a way to score runs built into our philosophy. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and let Coach Lehaske talk about hitting for the next couple minutes. He's going to dive into it. Some of it will make sense. Some of it won't. You know, take just a couple things from it and just try to understand why we do the things that we do at Blue Valley West. So give me a second to share screen here. Appreciate your patience. I don't want to open the wrong thing here and mess it up. So here we go. All right. Okay, let me share screen. All right, Caleb, you're my guy. Thumbs up if you can see the Jaguar way on there. Good man. All right, good deal. All right, here we go.
All right. Good evening, Jags. I'm glad you guys are joining us tonight. For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Coach Lehaske. I've been at Blue Valley West since 2016, history and coaching baseball, but I also graduated from West in 2009. So this community is my home, and I've been around here for a little while. So I work with all of our infielders and hitters in the program, and tonight I want to give you kind of an overview of our hitting philosophy at West and a few things to think about as you get older and start playing higher levels of baseball. So at Blue Valley West, we have 3 pillars to our hitting philosophy, and everything that we do revolves around these 3 things. They are: make one-pitch adjustments, prioritize the team at bat, and pressure the defense and refuse to strike out. We're going to go through each of these tonight. So first, one-pitch adjustments. By the time you get to high school baseball, the days of walking up to the plate and taking the exact same swing 3 times or 5 times or 8 times per game is really over. And that's one of the first things I talk with our players about once the games are made. If football is a game of inches, baseball is a game of adjustments. And there are several ways that hitters can and should make adjustments throughout the course of a game. The first is the most obvious. We want to make adjustments based on our last swing and the result. I know that we're in an age of private lessons and breaking everything down mechanically, but in my opinion, the best hitting coach that you have, that you can possibly have, is the baseball. If I'm in a batting practice and I hit a line drive back through the middle of the field with backspin, the baseball is telling me that that was a great swing. But if that's not the result, then I probably need to make an adjustment. If I flare a baseball with slice down the oppo foul line, I probably let my hands or back shoulder drop and I need to get back on top. If I roll over and hit a ground ball to the pull side, I probably need to pull my hands back in and let the ball get deeper in the hitting zone. The point is, we want our guys to take the feedback that the baseball gives them and make an adjustment on their next swing. Now, we learn how to do this in practice, but we need to be able to do it in games too. Good hitters make adjustments from one at bat to the next, and elite hitters make adjustments pitch to pitch. Another way we make adjustments is based on the count. So every spring I sit down with our hitters and we look at some really telling data. This chart shows MLB batting averages for every possible count that you can be in. And I want you to see how striking the differences are between, for example, an 0-0 count, a 3-1 count, and a 1-2 count. The numbers say that big leaguers' batting averages determine and change pretty significantly based on what count they're in. And if you think about this, this makes a lot of sense. When pitchers are behind in the count, they're more likely to throw fastballs in the strike zone because they don't want to fall further behind or walk hitters. On the other hand, when pitchers are ahead, we're more likely to see pitches outside the zone that are designed to get us off balance and swing at pitches that we can't hit well. So we as hitters need to be able to make adjustments with the count. We want our hitters to be aggressive on the first pitch of an at-bat. If they fall behind with a strike, we want them to cover the whole plate so we stay out of 2 strike counts. If they get ahead in the count, now we can be a little bit more selective, but we also understand that our batting average is highest in these hitters counts. So we don't want to wait around for the perfect pitch and allow the pitcher to climb back into the at-bat. The point is, if we take the same swing and have the exact same approach in a 3-1 count that we do on a 1-2 count, we're not going to be very successful in either situation. So at Blue Valley West, our players are responsible for understanding 4 different types of counts. And how their plate coverages change with each one. For example, on the first pitch of an at-bat, an even count, we want to cover 15 inches of the plate. And the only pitch we're going to take for a strike is the one on our worst corner, whether that's the inside or the outside edge. Everything else, we're going to attack. Now, the last way that we make 1-pitch adjustments at the plate depends on the game situation. Now, we ask our hitters to do different things if there are runners in scoring position than if there's nobody on. We ask them to do even more different things when a runner gets to third base with less than 2 outs. A hitter might get 3 at-bats in a game, but depending on the score, the outs, and the runners, they may have a totally different goal in all 3 of those at-bats. Teams that can make these adjustments as the game goes on tend to be the most successful. And that brings us to our second pillar: prioritize the team at-bat. At the beginning of last spring, I got all of our JV and varsity hitters together in a room, and I asked them a simple question. Would you rather have a great batting average this spring, or would you rather have a state championship ring? And they all said they wanted the ring. And to their credit, that group, perhaps more than any other one that we've had, bought into that idea. Our team goal is to score a run in every single inning. And if we have to give up an out or an at-bat in exchange for that run, we'll take that trade more often than not. We ask guys to bunt. We ask guys to sacrifice. We ask guys to put the ball on the ground and put pressure on the defense. And as a result of their buying into that philosophy, we scored a lot of runs. In fact, in the last 2 years, we've been in the top 3 teams in the state in total runs scored. If you have those type of numbers, you're going to win a lot of baseball games. So if you're a younger guy in here tonight, how can you prioritize team at-bats and become a team first hitter? And how can you get your teammates to do the same? Well, it starts with your actions in the dugout. If your teammate battles with 2 strikes for a 5, 6, or 7 pitch at bat, are you just watching quietly from the on deck circle, or are you encouraging them to keep fighting and wearing the opposing pitcher down? If your teammate hits a weak ground out to second base, but a runner scores from third on the play, are you telling them, it's okay, get him next time? Or are you telling him, great job? One way I can really quickly take the temperature of our team and see how healthy our team first culture is by watching what our dugout does when one of their teammates gets a sacrifice bunt down. When I know a team is bought in, the high fives for a sac bunt look exactly the same as they do for a double. And you'll be amazed how much more fun the game is when you're winning all the time, because guys are bought into this mentality and we're executing and we're scoring. Okay, so now for our last pillar: pressure the defense and refuse to strike out. This one's pretty simple. We know that strikeouts are going to happen, but we never accept them. So how do we avoid striking out when the numbers tell us that hitting with 2 strikes is really hard. I'll tell you guys what we tell our players every year. Every strikeout is the result of a missed opportunity earlier in the at-bat. Now, it's true. Sometimes an umpire makes a third strike call that's out of our control. Sometimes a pitcher makes just a great pitch with 2 strikes and just beats us. But in high school baseball, we don't face anyone who can make that perfect pitch 3 times in a row. And we don't have any umpires that are going to make 3 calls that are so bad that we never had a chance. So we talk a lot about staying out of 2 strike counts by being ready to hit early. Because in high school baseball and certainly at the youth levels, you're going to get something to hit at least once in your at-bat. And this is why you won't see us taking a lot of first pitch strikes. Every pitcher in America is taught to throw strike 1. And if we're not ready to hit, we're putting ourselves in a big hole. That might be the best pitch we get the entire at-bat. And if we take it for a strike, we're 1 strike closer to that 2 strike count that we're trying to avoid. And now, it would be great to always stay out of those 2 strike counts, but we know that they're going to happen. So what can we do once we're in a 2 strike count to make sure we don't strike out? The answer is we need to make an adjustment. Once we get to 2 strikes, our plan at the plate has to change. The goal is no longer to hit a single or a double or a home run. The goal is now to win the pitch. Winning the pitch for us means anything that extends the at-bat or puts pressure on the defense. So a foul ball with 2 strikes is a success. Now, go win the next pitch. Laying off a ball is winning the pitch. A hit by pitch is a success. Obviously, a line drive or a base hit is a success. But so is any ground ball. If we put the ball on the ground, at least we're forcing the defense to make a play. And if we hustle down the line, we're giving ourselves a chance to put pressure on the defense and make them make a mistake. For this reason, and our players know this, I'll never get mad at them over a weak ground ball with 2 strikes. But pop-ups and strikeouts are non-pressure outs. So we're trying to do everything we can to avoid those. So that's about it for tonight, guys. I appreciate your attention. And one thing you probably noticed is I didn't talk much at all about hitting mechanics, and there's a reason for that. We have a few principles that we ask our guys to stick to mechanically, but for the most part, we don't try to tinker and change guys' swings once they get to us. If you have a hitting instructor or a coach that speaks your language and you hit, if you have a hitting instructor or coach that speaks your language, that's awesome. But there's no one way to hit. And while we want to help our guys get the most out of their abilities, being comfortable and confident is a huge part of what makes hitters successful. So that's what we try to emphasize at Blue Valley West. So for the high school guys in the room, consider this an appetizer for what's coming if you make the club in a couple of weeks. And for the younger guys, hope to see you at a Blue Valley West baseball game this spring or one of our camps soon. Be sure to come introduce yourself. Hope you guys have a great night.
Okay. Coach Lehaski, as I mentioned, is the man. I mean, he is one of the best hitting coaches in the state, and I say that comfortably. As I pull this screen up here. Let's stop share here. There we go. As he mentioned in his 3 years with me, working with our hitters over the past 3 years, we've been in the top 2, top 3 in runs scored. And by doing so, here we go. Yeah. In doing so, it's obviously led to a lot of success for us. So one thing I want to point out, especially for you young guys, because he gave you a lot of verbiage, he gave you a lot of details there, and it's hard for you to follow. one of the biggest things you can take from that is to stop taking the first pitch. Okay, stop taking the first pitch. Think about what your pitching coach has taught you. Okay, if you guys that pitch, okay, the most important pitch in baseball is strike one. It is extremely important that we do not, okay, fall behind an account. Okay, so please understand that pitchers are taught to work ahead, to not throw balls. So as a hitter, we can't afford to go 0-1. So please understand that it is extremely important to jump on that first pitch, especially when you're facing guys that are much better pitchers. You guys that play a high level in tournaments and in league play, you know exactly what we're talking about. You're seeing good pitching day in, night out. You see good guys that are working ahead. So stop taking the good pitches early, jump up early in the count and make good solid contact. So the averages were posted there. That's the best stats you'll see. The best hitters in the world, even with 2 strikes, are hitting almost 200, 300 points lower with 2 strikes as opposed to a 1 strike or no strike count. So I'm going to fly through this base running. The best part about us, our ability to hit, is that we have a lot of base runners. And once we get on base, we love to wreak havoc. It's not a coincidence, because if you have more base runners, since you lead the state, in the top 2 or 3 in hitting, you're going to actually, have more stolen bases and take extra bases. So, we've led the state top 2, top 3 the past couple of years as well, and bases stolen. And we do that not only because we have base runners, but because we give our guys the green light. We like to run. Running's fun. We get thrown out? Absolutely. Those of you that have been out to our games as parents, or just fans, you'll see one of our guys get thrown out and you just kind of grate your teeth. You're like, what are they doing? Well, we, over the last 3 years, we have an 80%, success rate in stolen bases, which is outstanding. If we ever get below 70%, I promise you we'll stop running. But right now we like to run because our kids are good at it. It creates excitement. It puts a lot of pressure on the opposing pitcher, the opposing defense. And think about it. Anytime you steal a base, you're putting yourself in scoring position, or you're moving up one more spot so that you're closer to score. So, those are the main reasons why we do it. So with that said, I'm going to fly through this. Our philosophy: hustle, be aggressive, understand the game situation, which is huge. Take what the defense gives you, find a way to get to the next base, which is really sums up this entire presentation. Take care of your teammates by verbalizing, speaking, giving them tips from the dugout, letting them know, hey, you can steal on this guy. He never throws to second. He doesn't pick. He tips his pitches, those type of things. And then look for signs from your coaches. 5 checkpoints. And if you don't take anything from this presentation tonight, you can use these 5 checkpoints as a pitcher, a hitter, a catcher, a fielder, a base runner. Go through these 5 checkpoints all the time as far as playing the game. Number 1, check your coach. What is his signs? Okay, what is he telling you to do? Number 2, who's up to bat? Okay, is it a good hitter? Is it an average hitter? Is it a guy that hasn't been making contact? Check your batter. Know who's up. If we have a runner on first base and we have our 3-4 hitter up who consistently been hitting doubles, triples, home runs, okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to steal, because they're going to drive us in anyways. So we don't want to give up an out if we have a guy up at the plate that's going to drive us in, even just from first base. So understand who your batter is. On the flip side of that, if we got a guy that hasn't hit very well, but he has been making contact and putting the ball on the ground, great opportunity to hit and run, great opportunity to steal a base, move up so that you can help that batter by putting pressure on the defense. Know your score. Okay. If it's a tie game, you're down by 1, up by 1, you need to know that so that you can understand the situation for what you need to do as far as being on the bases. Check your defense. If the infield's back and they're giving up second base, take it. Infield's in and they're giving up second base, take it. Okay. If they're in a shift and they can't cover a certain base, take the base. If they're running a bunt coverage that exposes their defense, take the base. All just certain examples of things and ways that you can exploit the defense. And then of course, check the elements, playing conditions. If it's raining, it's cold, super hot, you're playing on dirt, you're playing on turf, you need to know all those things as far as base running and how to use those to your advantage and not make them a disadvantage. Okay. Running from home plate. just these things that we go through with our guys religiously so they understand. Okay, first we start with bunts, the push bunt, the drag bunt, sack bunt, safety squeeze, the regular squeeze. Okay, our hitters and our base runners need to know how to run leaving home plate while executing all those different types of at-bats. Hard 90s. If you'll notice next to hard 90s, obviously in high school baseball, we're working at 90 feet. Okay. Ground balls, getting out of the box, running through the bag, chop, 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 looking to get to second if there's a bad throw. Walks. You'll notice we also do hard 90s through walks. Okay. One of the most fun things ever is when we walk and we have one of our guys hustle down to first base and everybody's looking, the pitcher's looking, the fielders are looking like, why is he doing that? What's going on? Okay. It creates panic. It creates a, what's going on type feel. Okay. Plus, if somebody's being lazy, we may just take first or second base. We have a runner on third and we walk. Okay. We may just go ahead and send them to second. See what happens. Okay. So those are reasons why we hustle down. And then, of course, the HBP. There's nothing better than when you take a ball off the hip, the elbow, the chest, or excuse me, the elbow, the shoulder, okay, and you just hustle right down to first base, okay? Not only does everybody think you're a tough guy, but they're also wondering, man, is that guy crazy? Okay, so hustling down with hard 90s after ground balls, walks, and HBPs. Hustle doubles, okay? Every base hit we get, okay, we're looking to get out of the box, okay? We're looking for two. That you round the base looking for second and shutting it down when you realize you're not going to be able to go. So hustle out of the box, putting on the brakes when you realize you can't go. Okay. And then on the flip side of everything, we've got to teach our players how to coach home. Okay. So around home plate, if there's a runner coming from third, you've got to clear the helmet, clear the bat, and then you need to be able to tell him when to slide to the right, to the left, stay up, which direction to go. Potentially stop and go back and a rundown. All those different types of things happen by you coaching home. So those are the approach that we take at home plate. Okay. First base, straight steal, shin angle. Okay. We're drop stepping our right foot, opening our right foot, getting that good solid lead from first base. We work our primaries into our secondaries. Okay. And then we drop step our right foot just a little bit so that our back toe is even with our left shin. And then we just take off and go, baby. Delay steal. Okay. We get our regular secondary lead, hop as we call it. Okay. And then we go. And then we obviously do that when the catcher's throwing from his knees. Okay. Or he's lazy back there. We have a runner on third once again, and we want to draw a throw to second to help score that runner from third, getting the rundown and make it work. We have signs that we give with left-handed pitchers. We'll either go on first movement or we'll take off as he releases the ball. So we'll get good reads. All left-handed pitchers are different, but we make sure we practice and work on our first moves with left-handed pitchers. Reverse jab still, peak point technique still. Those are more advanced. We work on those with our high school guys. Trail runner technique. We'll make sure that our guys at first understand that if the guy that's on second is taken off, that they're taken off as well, so that they don't run him over and or get caught sleeping by not going. Hit and run technique. I know a lot of youth coaches teach for the base runners to check on the third step, look in to see what the catchers and the hitter are doing as far as the result of the pitch. We teach our guys to check in third step all the time. So every time you're stealing a base, you're checking third step, okay, to see, is the ball going to be hit? Is it going to be a strike? Is it going to be a pass ball? Okay, or are you going to get a throw that's coming down that you're going to have to beat? So our hit and run technique is actually the same technique for all bases. So, with that said, we also 2 seconds here. Okay. Dirt ball reads. Okay, coaches, if you don't do this, especially at the youth level, you need to teach and have all your base runners work on as soon as they see that downward angle where that ball is going to hit the dirt. Okay, they need to take off and go. Okay. The percentages are like 5% for the defense and 95% for the offense as far as being safe at the base when you take off on dirt ball reads. Not only does the catcher have to retrieve the ball or back pick it or scoop it, okay, they also have to make a great throw when they're not balanced. So understand all those things have to go right, not to mention the fielder has to get to the bag and cover on time as well. So dirt ball reads will steal you bases and turn into runs. Sack bunt reads, make sure your feet are always on the ground when the ball's pitched and when there's contact. Don't get caught with your feet in the air. Make sure that as soon as the ball is bunted, your feet are down, and then we're reading the ball down. We're not taking off as soon as contact's made, because then you'll get doubled up and then you'll be in trouble. Sliding back on pickoffs, turf fields are become a blessing to work on sliding. Pick a day that's wet. Youth coaches, youth parents, high school coaches, high school parents, working with the kids sliding on turf fields when it's wet, especially, is a gift. Compared to them having to practice on dirt and tear up pants and tear up their legs and so forth. So second base, I'm not going to spend a lot of time at second base because there's a lot that we do there, but please understand that it's all about getting timing and rhythm. First off, we work two different types of lead from second. We have our scoring lead, which is where we get depth. So we work back towards left field, and then we slowly creep forward at an angle towards third base. Okay, that is our scoring angle. Okay, we usually do that with 2 outs, and or if we tell a guy that we're working to not steal, but to score from second, we'll back him up there. If there's a runner on first and second, and we now have a force play at third, we'll remind our guys on second to make sure that they're at a force angle. That way they're flat, even with the bag, so that they're ready to take off in a straight line to third base. We're not trying to score on that pitch. We're just trying to be safe at third. Our guys that steal will work from that angle, which is the force angle. They'll also work from the scoring angle, which is also called the deep angle, but they'll have to work their timing. We do what's called a 2-in-1 lead, a 2-in-1 lead. So when the pitcher looks at us, we take 1 hop back. When the pitcher looks to home, we take 2 hops towards third. And we continue to do that depending on however many looks he gives us. That way we're gaining ground and he doesn't realize it, because all he sees is we're taking 1 hop back. When he's not looking, we're taking 2 hops towards third and vice versa. So understand that that's one thing we work with as far as timing. And then the walking lead, you'll see Whit Merrifield do that a ton. He's really good at the walking lead. We have a couple guys that can do it, but that's once your runner learns the timing from the particular pitcher. Does he only look once? Does he look twice? Does he not look at all? That's when you can start to implement that walking lead. And then ground balls, when you're leading off from second base, if the ground ball is at you or behind you, okay, you can take off and go to third. If the ground ball is in front of you, you've got to get back to second base, okay, with your head on a swivel, okay, making that decision. Am I going to go when he throws it to first, or am I going to go ahead and just stay put at second? But we can't just go to third on ground balls hitting the 6 hole, which is to the shortstop's right side. We got to make sure that the ball is at us or behind us before we take off. Dirt ball reads, once again, okay, just make sure you're learning them, reading them. Okay, if you can pick signs at second base runners, pick those signs. If you know the dirt ball's coming based off the sign the catcher's given, okay, get an extra step and take off and take that base. Okay, if a catcher ever goes to block a baseball and it kicks off to the third base side, okay, we don't go on those blocks. The reason is because now the throw is shorter. Okay, he blocks the ball to the third base side. He's closer to third base. The throw is shorter. If the catcher blocks the ball on the dirt to the right side and it goes to the first base side, we're automatically going to third. Reason being is now it's a longer throw. Not only does he have to go over there and get it, which created a longer distance to third, but now he's also got that longer throw. Okay, very rarely you're going to get thrown out in that situation. Third base, red, yellow, and green reads. Okay, infield's in, infield's back, double play depth. Red is when the infield's in, yellow is when we're in double play depth, green is when the infield is back, just so you understand what that means. When you get to our program, you'll understand what the red, yellow, and green means. Understanding where the third baseman is he holding you? Is he even with the bag? Is he back? Is he forward? That's how you can advance your lead. We have to know how to run on safety squeeze, on our straight squeeze plays, and then we actually have had a couple guys attempt to steal home. Okay. So it's fun. It creates buzz. It creates excitement. So if you ever have a chance to do it, just make sure it's at the right time, because you can definitely swing the mood of the game or the momentum of the game. If you do it at the wrong time, then obviously you have to be safe and make sure your batter and your runner are on the same page. We won't talk about stealing the catcher's technique or stealing signs. That's definitely advanced, and we'll get there later. First to third, just want to make sure that our runners know, and Coach Lahasky does a great job with our live hitting rotations. We make sure that our runners, when they're on first base, anytime the balls hit to the outfield, we have reads that they go through, progression, so that they know when they're automatically going to third and when they're motoring it down and just staying at second base. So make sure you practice that. First to third is huge. If you can get your base runner from first to third on a simple ground ball base hit, and then it changes the complexion of the inning. First base coaching duties. It's on here, and I'll share this presentation. For those of you that are coaches and players, you can see what your coach should be in charge of. But basically, our first base coach, Coach Lahasky, is our first base coach. He talks to the guys. He gives them some advice about hitting and reinforces all the things that they talk about. But he also gets the split time from the pitcher to catcher. He gets the split time from the catcher, the pop time from the catcher to the second baseman / shortstop. He's taking care of all those numbers and making sure that our math works out so that we can have the advantage when it comes to the math and science part of stealing bases. Rundowns and line drives, you have to practice them. Okay. Rundowns, we just make sure that our base runners, one, try to stay out of them. Two, know when to get into them so we can advance the runner in front of us. And three, on the rundowns, if it at all possible, you've got to find the fielders while they're in the rundown and get in their throwing lane. Because the best thing you can do in a rundown as a base runner, okay, other than be safe, is make it so that the fielder throws the ball off of you. Okay, so find those fielders in the rundown and make sure that you do your best to have the ball deflect off you. Line drives, the best thing I can tell you young players is you've probably had a coach tell you to freeze. On a line drive, the worst thing you can do is freeze. On a line drive, you have two options. One, just go, or two, go back. Okay, but if you just freeze, you're going to be out. Okay, you're going to be out. So make sure that on a line drive, okay, we teach our guys to dive back to the bag, because if it gets through, they're going to advance to the next bag anyways. Okay, but if they don't dive back and it's a line drive, they're going to be out. So make sure you don't freeze. On line drives, we're diving back or we're just taking off and going. Okay, tag ups. Lots of practice there. Long story short, coaches and players, you've got to understand the game situation. Less than 2 outs, ball in the air. If you're on first base, am I going halfway or am I going back to tag? It all depends on how deep the ball's hit. If I can see numbers, I'm going back to tag. Meaning if I see the outfielder's numbers, I'm going to go back and tag. If I'm on second base, same thing. If I see numbers, I'm going back to tag. If I don't see numbers, okay, I'm going to go about halfway, make sure he catches it, and then I'm going to go back to the base and read the play. At third base, I need to understand that if there's less than 2 outs and there's a fly ball, I've got to get back to the bag as soon as possible so that I can tag and score. Other than that, I'm listening to my coaches and proceeding with caution. Advanced scouting, coaches, players, you older guys, this is something that you can do ahead of time. In high school, we take what's called in and out before the game. Coaches are out there checking the outfielders' arms to see how hard they throw or how soft they throw. Infielders, we're checking the infielders' arms out to see not only how well they fielded, but how quickly they transfer and how hard they throw the ball across the infield. We're checking the catcher out to see how well he throws. All that stuff leads up and gives us great information on not only are we going to run, but when are we going to run and who we're going to run with. So with that being said, the last thing I'm going to share with you, and then we'll close it out for the evening, is I'm going to share with you just a couple of our practice schedules. So for example here, okay, if you look at this particular practice schedule, this is actually from 2020. We have base running rotation 1 here. We have 4 groups. We have a group at home, a group at first, a group at second, a group at third, and a group at home. So for example, the guys that are at first base are working straight steals. Guys that are at second base are working straight steals. The guys at third are working their tags, and the guys at home are working base hits. So they're working on around in first base, looking to go to second. We'll have a coach tell them to either go to second or we'll have them motor it down. So that's just one example. The different types of straight steals there. Sometimes we'll do walking leads. Sometimes we'll do straight leads. The tags at third base. A lot of times we'll get live fungo going on during this time, and they'll have real reads off the bat as they go. So that's just one example of the base running circuit there. And you notice it's just 10 minutes, and we do it at the beginning of practice. Another practice schedule here. If it'll come up, there we go. You'll notice first and third review, base running, defense. So basically we'll take our varsity, put them on offense, and they'll work running bases. Then we'll have our JV work in the defensive part of defending first and third situations. And then we do a lot of delay steals. We do a lot of early breaks, which is where our guy on first takes off early and either forces a balk or he forces the pitcher to make a decision. Are they going to get the out at second base, or are they going to give up the run, or vice versa? So you see that going on there. Once again, that situation is only 15 minutes, but it's extremely vital to our progress working base running on with our first and third situations. And then last practice schedule I'll share with you here. if you look down here, we added our base running circuit here at the end of practice this day. We got hard 90s going on here, straight steals from first. We're working tags at second. We use a verbiage with our runners on second, especially when the ball's hit to right field and they can't see it. Okay. If I yell tag, 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 they're going to go back and tag, and they're coming as soon as the ball's hit, and I'll tell them when to go. If I say give me two, give me two, give me two, they're giving me 2 hard steps and trying to force the defense to make a bad throw to third base, and then we can maybe go on the overthrow, et cetera. So those are all things that we're working on. Then we're working on tags here in a specific situation again. So with that said, I'm going to stop share here. I know I talked fast, and videos definitely would have helped. The best thing you guys can do, bring your players out, let them watch a practice. You can come out, watch a practice. We work extremely fast. We squeeze a whole lot of stuff in. We're blessed with players that have played a lot of baseball. They're extremely intelligent. They pick up really fast. They've had really good coaching. So we just feed off of that. But at the end of the day, the number one thing you learn from tonight is our number one goal is to score runs. And we do that by putting the ball in play effectively and by taking extra bases. So, excuse me, if you take pride in those 2 things at any level, you're scoring more runs, you're taking pressure off your defense, you're taking pressure off your pitcher, okay? And ultimately, you're going to win more baseball games. So really appreciate your time. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something. I did record this, so we'll send it out to you just in case I spoke too fast or you missed something. And then I'll also share my presentation so that you have that on base running. We'll keep you posted. We have camp on Sunday with the youth guys, so we're looking forward to seeing them there. Other than that, have a great night. Thank you.
We done here?
We're done, buddy. Thank you.